a response from the terrorist group Hamas to President Trump's ultimatum. He gave the group until Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern time to agree to his 20-point plan for peace with Israel. That response is now with mediators. If no deal is reached, President Trump threatened, quote, all hell, like no one has ever seen before, will break out against Hamas, unquote. Hamas has announced it will agree to immediately enter negotiations for release of all hostages under Trump's proposal, adding, quote, by providing the necessary field conditions for the exchange process, unquote. Before this announcement, President Trump's post also urged, quote, all innocent Palestinians immediately leave this area of potentially great future death for safer parts of Gaza, unquote. He was not specific about how they should leave or which parts of Gaza are safer than others. Let's bring in Barak Ravid, a political and global affairs analyst for CNN. He also writes for Axios. Barak, you're so well sourced in what leaders are saying in the Middle East. 6 p.m. Sunday, it's about 48 hours away. The response from Hamas seems significant on its own. Does this feel different than other previous attempts at peace here?
Jake, I think we just have a dramatic statement from President Trump just right now. Listen to what he just said in a post on Truth Social. President Trump says, based on the statement just issued by Hamas, I believe they are ready for lasting peace. President Trump continues and writes, Israel must immediately stop the bombing of Gaza so that we can get the hostages out safely and quickly. Right now, it's far too dangerous to do that. President Trump continues and says, we are already in discussions on details to be worked out. This is not about Gaza alone. This is about long-sought peace in the Middle East. Jake, this is super dramatic. President Trump calls on Israel to stop the war immediately after Hamas responds with a yes but to his proposal. I think this is a point we haven't been in since October 7th, and definitely we haven't been in since January 20th when President Trump came back to office.
It seems momentous. It seems potentially huge. I do wonder, it does seem like the sticking point about whether Hamas will play any role in the future of Gaza is one that really there can't be any compromise ever made on. Even the Arab League has been saying Hamas can't be part of the future, and Hamas has not agreed to that. But you think that they will be able to ultimately get past that?
I think that at the moment, to be honest, I think it doesn't matter. I think what President Trump just said, calling on Israel to stop the bombing of Gaza so that a hostage release and an exchange of prisoners could be implemented, I think this is the most important thing. It basically means that President Trump accepts Hamas's response as a positive response. And I think this is super dramatic because it paves the way for the release of hostages and for the end of the war.
You reported that President Trump told Netanyahu, I think on Sunday, that he needed to get on board with this peace proposal, or it would be a dramatic shift in U.S. foreign policy, right? Tell us more about that.
I think the shift is happening in front of our eyes right now. I think we are witnessing the shift right now. The question is whether Prime Minister Netanyahu will get with the program or not. And if he doesn't get with the program, there's going to be problems between him and President Trump, big problems.
Is he willing to take on the extreme right-wing zealots in his cabinet who don't want any peace, who want to annex Gaza, the Ben-Gvirs, the Smotriches of there? Is Netanyahu willing to side with Trump over them because their opposition could mean his government falls apart?
Well, you know, Benjamin Netanyahu will have election in the next year. I think most likely at the beginning of 2026. Benjamin Netanyahu's political situation is not good, to say the least. He will not be able to win an election if he is in a confrontation with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is the most popular politician in Israel at the moment, and I don't see that changing. So Netanyahu needs Trump. He cannot move without Trump. He's totally dependent on Trump. And therefore, if President Trump tells him that he needs to stop the war, he will have no other choice but to stop the war or risk an all-out confrontation with Donald Trump.